So you've probably seen people selling their Pokemon cards for thousands upon thousands of dollars, and now you think that you've got some lying around, you can go and do the same. I'm gonna tell you it's not as easy as you might think to sell Pokemon cards and to make money while doing it. So first I really want to get into back when it all started, which is 2020, aka the COVID boom, aka Logan Paul bringing a lot of hype back into Pokemon and into the collecting space in and of itself. He kind of paved the market for these resellers to build careers and jobs and businesses. So I know resellers have a bad rep because back in 2020 we had to deal with scalpers, and I'll get into the differences between scalpers and resellers a little bit later in the video. But yeah, I'm here to tell you it's not as easy as you have a couple of cards in your collection from back in the day that you're gonna go sell for $1,000. Now, there's a couple of key things you need to look for when it comes to cards that you're buying to sell, cards that you're selling from your collection, and really if there's a way to make money while doing this. So first we need to take a look at the market. Within the past couple of months, we've seen the all art market really explode to where these prices are doubling and tripling for cards that are really not hard to get. I mean, these are cards that you can still get on TCG Play or near mint, that you can still find on eBay pretty easily in near mint, and these cards are just skyrocketing. I mean, you have the Gengar from Fusion Strike, the Espeon from Fusion Strike, Blaziken from Chilling Reign, Moonbreon, a bunch of the Evolving Skies all arts. Now all arts got really pumped, so you're probably looking at buying some all arts to flip. Now the reason I say it's not as easy is because there's not a lot of room to work with in the current market because of how volatile these cards are. Let's use the Moonbreon for example. You might find a Moonbreon on eBay for 700 bucks, which is below market. Take it to the card shop and think that you're gonna get 900 bucks. Now while that would be nice, it doesn't really work that way. So let's talk about the start of selling your card. Now we see it all the time. There's a lot of people coming up trying to sell their cards or make a business out of buying and selling cards. We are doing the same thing, and I'm not discouraging anybody from doing it. All I'm trying to tell you and hammer home, it's not a get rich quick scheme, right? You're not going to go out and make $10,000 your first week by selling Pokemon cards, especially because chances are if you're just breaking in, you don't really know what you're looking for, right? You see a card for a good decent price and you pick it up and it's light played and you thought it was near mint, or you didn't even think to look for near mint or light played or MP, or the differences between these things, which in turn are key factors of buying and selling. Card shops are going to comp a market price based on the median of sales from the past. It's different, everybody does it differently. Probably weekly or monthly they might do comps and figure out the median with that. Now let's use this Moonbreon right here for an example, right? Let's say you find it for 800 bucks. You think you have a good deal. You're going to take it to a card shop, sell it for 900, make 100 bucks. Chances are that's not really going to happen. Now, there are freak circumstances where if it's a vintage card that someone didn't know they were letting go of for 50 bucks, you can take it to a card shop, sell it for 450, but you have to know what you're looking for. So it's not as easy as I'm just going to go buy a card and then sell it. Because what will happen in these card shops and these vendors and these people who are buying and reselling are going to buy between 70 to 80% of the market value that they comp it at. A lot of people comp things differently. Some people look at last week's sales, some people look at last month's, last 3 months. So there's a bunch of differences that you have to think about. It's not as easy as, okay, I'm getting this card, I'm going to sell it for 900, I got it for 800. If we take 70% of market price, which is 870, that's the low end. I'm doing the math. I can't do math in my head right now, but I'll pop it up on the screen with 70% of market, which you could expect. And then that's if they feel like buying it. They might offer you less than that. They might offer you more than that, depending on whether or not they have someone to buy it, how quick it moves. There's a bunch of key factors that you really have to think about when you're diving into this side of Pokemon card collecting and buying and reselling. It's not as simple as buying a card for 800, selling it for 900. Now, there are ways to do that and to make that money, but this goes into, it's not a get quick rich scheme. It's going to take you time to find clientele for a card of that size, and it's going to take you time to build a reputation to where you're not scamming people, because a lot of people are coming up right now trying to sell resealed product or fake vintage cards, so people aren't too sure on whether or not they can buy from them or not, buy from you or not. So chances are, if you found a Moonbreon for 800 and you took it to a card shop, you're gonna get less than what you paid for it. So really take your time when you're coming to buying, selling, and collecting Pokemon, because you don't need to buy a card because of the hype. You don't need to sell a card because it's losing the hype. You know what I mean? So I want to get into supply and demand and how it sort of depicts the way the card market and collectible market is going. Sort of like supply and demand depicts where everything's going. Stanley Cups is a really great example. You know, back in however long ago, they had a video of a car that went on fire overnight, but the Stanley Cup still had ice in it and ice water. What happened? It sold out. Supply versus demand. The Moonbreon is an outlier because a card like this is easily accessible. There's thousands upon thousands of copies in mint, in PSA 10s. It's not like this premium price tag is because it's so hard to find like the vintage cards. Really seeing the difference of collectibles. Now, vintage back then, you were collecting it for the love of Pokemon. Now people are realizing that, hold on, Pokemon cards is a pretty good way to invest and to make money long term. Now, when I was saying that the Umbreon is an outlier, I want you guys to let me know if you think this card is going to keep going up in price or drop, because if we take a look right here, this number is the amount of PSA 10s in population. 12,000. Okay, this card right here is a perfect example of why it's not as easy as you might think to make a bunch of money. Now, being that there's 12,000 of these cards, it's still going for $1,000. Now, what happens when someone gets their hands on it, they want to then sell it. But when there's 100 of these on the public market every day, you have to little by little start to drop your price to be the front runner lowest price. And what happens at that point is the market starts to dip. People start to see the little dip and they panic sell, and we see a big dip, and then people realize, oh crap, they have seller's remorse. Now's a great time to buy, and then we see it start going back up. So if you're going to get into this, stay within your own constraints. For example, if you get a card for $150 that's market value is $200 and you see it drop down to $170, don't sell it at $170 just to sell it and make that profit. Now, there are cases where that card's going to go below what you bought it for, but long term, let's just get that right out of the window. All right, let's get that out of the way. Pokemon cards, business, it's not get rich quick. You're not going to make $1 million in your first year selling Pokemon cards. So to talk a little bit more about scalpers versus resellers, scalpers were really big back in 2020 during COVID and the COVID boom. Basically what they would do is go to GameStop, Best Buy, Target, all the different places that you could buy Pokemon cards for retail prices. They would clear out the inventory and then go sell it for double or triple the amount. That's a scalper. Now, a reseller is just basically your card shop. You have local card shops all around. Those are basically card resellers. People go in to sell, people go in to buy. Everybody has to make money, but the margins at beginning are not what you think. I'm telling you, do not think that you can go out and start selling Pokemon cards and making millions upon millions of dollars. There's a lot of work. You have to market, you have to get trustworthy, build a reputation. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things to think about when selling Pokemon cards.